Red Reddington stars as a linguist brought in to work with Snake Plissken's military liaison and decipher an ancient hieroglyphic that unlocks a portal to another planet. This week, we take on the Roland Emmerich classic as we remake Stargate RIGHT. Hello, my fellow cinematic architects, and welcome to Remake This Movie Right. We are a member of the Hollywood Outsider Network. You can listen to episodes of Remake This Movie Right on iTunes. Reviews are definitely appreciated. Your podcast app of choice, or just visit the website at RemakeThisMovieRight.com. Remake This Movie Right is a show that takes an original film and has an actual remake in the works, figure out what still clicks and what doesn't, throw a little bit of humor at it, and then determine exactly how Hollywood should remake it. So by the end of each episode, we will have the remake ready to roll for Hollywood execs and presented to you in movie trailer form. We're here to tell Hollywood how to remake this movie right. I am your host, Darren Peterson, and joining me today, you might remember her from our Charlie's Angels episode, Angela Wallock.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody on the internets. Mm-hmm. And making his first appearance, the owner of Southgate Media Group, which features many fine podcasts, Rob Southgate.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here, Aaron. I'm really excited.
Sweet, you're happier than I am.
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of coffee today, so.
That always helps. We are remaking Stargate, the 1994 classic. Can we call it a classic?
I'm calling it a classic.
Okay, all right. Just checking, because some people debate it, including James Spader, but I'll get there in a second. But just for people that have never seen it, all four of you, we are tackling the Kurt Russell, James Spader film Stargate, and it's about in 1928 Egypt, a strange device is found by an expedition. They fast forward to the present day then, where linguist Dr. Daniel Jackson, who's played by James Spader, Red Reddington, is invited to decipher an ancient hieroglyph in a military facility. Jackson discovers that this is actually a portal to an advanced civilization on another planet. In comes Colonel Jack O'Neill, who just recently lost his son to a gun accident, which is actually pretty tragic, played by Kurt Russell. Takes a team along with Jackson to explore the new world. They find a land that mimics Egypt, and its citizens are slaves to Ra, the god of the sun. But they soon discover there's a lot more to Stargate. And then everything happens, and they throw a nuke up in a spaceship and blow it up. That was the solution at the end. Like I said, it starred James Spader, and Kurt Russell was directed by Roland Emmerich. First thing, let's start with Rob. You've never been here before. Tell us, when did you first see Stargate? What'd you think of it?
Well, we saw it in the theater when it came out. I don't know if I'm the old guy on this show or not. But,
no, you're a spring chicken.
Excellent. But yeah, we saw it in the theater when it came out. And I've always been a sci-fi fan. I saw it with my wife, who was, I believe, what year did this come out again?
94.
94. Okay, we were married. So it was still the honeymoon phase though. So she went to it willingly. She's not a big sci-fi fan, especially at that point, but she enjoyed it too. I happen to love it when I saw it. I thought it was fantastic. It's funny because in rewatching it, I also like some of the cheesy effects and things, which I'm sure we'll get to. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed for their cheese factor even then. In fact, I was kind of blown away by the whole thing at that time because I felt like they had made a lot out of not much. What I mean by that is they didn't have a huge budget on this comparatively, yet they fooled the audience into thinking they were seeing some really high-end sci-fi. And I thought that was really cool then.
Mm-hmm. Well, back then it kind of was that cool.
Well, it was. It really was.
Angela, what about you? Would you see it in the theater or?
I did see it in the theater. Most likely, if I recall, with my older brother, because I was yet to be driving, close, but yet. And this just seemed like my brother and I would always go see like the big budget things together, like Independence Day, Speed, or whatever. So I really, from what I remember, I loved it. And the cool thing about it is it really probably wasn't geared towards a 14-year-old girl, but I love sci-fi. I liked world building. So that was the thing that I took from this the most, that I like that Roland Emmerich, he just created this. Like, it was just such a unique like play on aliens and Egyptians and, how they affected basically civilization on Earth. It's awesome.
I absolutely agree. I saw it in the theater and thought, what? Because I only went because Kurt Russell was in it. Honestly, I have an obsession with the man, and I'm like, well, Kurt Russell's there. I'll go see it. And I was actually taken aback because I was a big James Spader fan, but this is so not a James Spader movie.
No.
Yeah, especially if you go back
at that time, especially, right?
Yeah, he's Mr. Let's do something weird, and you could tell this is a paycheck movie for him. So I was shocked. I'm like, I got to see Spader in a big budget movie with a Kurt Russell. I got to check that out. And when it starts, it kind of bounces in time frame. So it goes from Egyptian times to 1928 to modern day, and it does that rather quickly. So I was pretty jarred at first, but as the movie went on, I'm like, you know what? This isn't exactly a genius film, but it's really fun. And science fiction doesn't always have to be the smartest thing in the room. Sometimes it's just fun. And they created a whole new world, which I was really bummed that it didn't get more films, but it was pretty exciting at the time. And Jay Davidson really took me by surprise because I had just seen him in The Crying Game and didn't expect him to be a villain. I just didn't see that coming, and it really worked for me. Unfortunately,
he is a really interesting dude.
I think he retired, didn't he, from this?
I don't know if he retired. I don't know the story on him, but he only did 4 things. His last thing was in 2009, but after Stargate, he didn't do anything until 2009. So I don't know if it was a retirement or if he just became, a pariah in Hollywood. Who knows? There's all sorts of things that can play into that. But I agree. I thought he was really interesting. I found him interesting in The Crying Game. I found him interesting in Stargate, and really disappointed that he kind of disappeared.
Well, in Crying Game, I found what? He?
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Didn't see that coming.
Well, but they didn't have that scene in this. That would have made it a completely different movie.
It would have been a fantastic twist. Let's just go with that. I don't care. Okay, well, let's get into some trivia and stuff. But before we do that, we do have a clip from the original movie. And also, if you have your own pitch or thoughts on this week's show, feel free to email them to remakeThisMovieRight@gmail.com. That's remakeThisMovieRight@gmail.com. Here's a clip from the original Stargate.
Thought you couldn't speak their language.
Scared me. It's an ancient Egyptian dialect. I mean, like the rest of their culture, it's evolved completely independently. But once you know the vowels,
just answer the question.
Well, I mean, I just had to learn how to pronounce it. I mean, it hasn't been a living spoken language in more than 1,000 years. I mean, look at this. It says, a traveler from distant stars escaped from a dying world looking for a way to extend his own life. His body decaying and weak, he couldn't prevent his own demise. Apparently his whole species was becoming extinct. So he traveled or searched the galaxies looking for a way to cheat death. And look here. He came to a world rich with life, where he encountered a primitive race, humans. A species which, with all his powers and knowledge, he could maintain indefinitely. He realized within a human body he had a chance for a new life. Now, he apparently found a young boy. It says, as the frightened villagers ran, night became day. Curious and without fear, he walked towards the light. Ra took him and possessed his body like some kind of a parasite looking for a host. And inhabiting this human form, he appointed himself ruler. He used the Stargate to bring thousands of people here to this planet as workers for the mines, just like the one we saw. This mineral is clearly the building block of all his technology. With this, he can sustain eternal life. Now, something happened, where is it, back on Earth, a rebellion or uprising, and the Stargate was buried there. Fearful of a rebellion here, Ra outlawed reading and writing. He didn't want the people to remember the truth.
All right. You guys ready for some trivia? Let's see if you guys know any of this stuff.
Let's do it.
Shoot.
Okay, this was the first movie to ever have an official website. It was set up by Dean Devlin in 1994 and featured images, trailers, and behind-the-scenes clips and actor information. Did anybody know that?
No.
I only knew it because I read it. But I do remember logging in with my AOL account to look at the website because I thought it was so cool that they had a website. Now, I didn't know, maybe I did at the time, that it was the first, but I can distinctly remember sitting on our apartment in Evanston, Illinois. I used to sit there and I'd watch Star Trek and all my, sci-fi stuff. I had my Laserdisc. I'd watch Star Wars over and over. And I was so excited, like, oh, this is going to add more content to my life. Looking up this Stargate thing, thinking, boy, they could do this with every movie.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do that ever.
I don't know. That'd be cool. I hope that catches on. It feels like it hasn't yet. There were, a lot of people don't know this, but there were, I think it was 3 total TV shows that spawned from this. There was SG-1, which ran about 10 years, Stargate Atlantis, which ran about 5, and then Stargate Universe, which ran about 2. Alexis Cruz and Eric Avari are the only actors to appear in both Stargate and SG-1 as their respective characters. But also, I think Richard Kind appeared in Stargate Atlantis as somebody completely different. Did you guys watch any of these shows?
I watched a little bit of the SG-1. And I the only reason why I really was into it, I wasn't so sure about the fact that they were spinning off a TV show from a movie, but Richard Dean Anderson, I had a huge little MacGyver crush on him. So I jumped aboard for those reasons. Also, my mom really enjoyed Richard Dean Anderson, and so it was something that we could watch together. So I really did watch it pretty regularly, like at least probably maybe like the first 3 or 4 seasons. I had no idea that it went in for a total of 10. So it's been a long time since I've watched them, but I really did enjoy it. It was really cool. I liked where they went with the show, exploring through the Stargate and everything like that. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was a big fan, actually. And you mentioned how your mom was a fan. My dad was a huge fan of this show. Every time we'd get together, hey, did you watch Stargate? He'd always have to talk about that. I loved it. And once again, now we've moved to Minneapolis. This show comes on. And I'll never forget, I'd come home from work. I'm tired. My wife's, it would be late. She's already like in bed. I'd pop on my videotape. Now we're going back again. And I'd record Stargate and Babylon 5. And that was my regular diet every week. And I loved it. I thought they did an excellent job with the series. Now, I didn't go on. I heard they continued to be really good, but I never watched Arc of Truth or Continuum. I never saw any of that. It's one of those things that I see on Netflix or I see on Hulu and I think, yeah, I'm going to binge this at some point. But you're talking a lot of content, man.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of them. I feel bad, but I didn't. All of my reference is the movie. I've looked into the show. I think I watched the pilot. Probably just because Richard Dean Anderson, Angela. I had a little man crush too. I like that mullet a lot. And
who doesn't?
Right? I wish they'd bring it back for the new MacGyver. I'm kind of bummed it's not there anymore. It didn't work. I don't know. It's a cool concept,
it didn't work for you, huh?
It didn't work for me. I think because it was at that time when you had a TV show that had special effects like that one was trying to do. They weren't like it is now. Like now you can go in the CW and you've got pretty quality special effects. Then all I saw was, wow, that's not good. That doesn't, I couldn't swallow my disbelief enough to watch it, to enjoy it. It was my problem.
That's too bad. Yeah. See, because I thought the storytelling was so strong on it that it kept me engaged. And yeah, the effects could get pretty rough. Babylon 5, half the shots were amazing. The other half were awful. That was kind of in the same boat. But once again, if you missed the first 4 seasons of Babylon 5, you've really done yourself a disservice if you like sci-fi, because it's really great. Notice I didn't say the 5th season. Okay.
Well, I guess I got to go watch that. So apparently I've got about 15 years of television to watch
yes,
after
get on
we do
it,
this.
Aaron, right now. No, wait until the episode's over.
I will. I'll finish. Well, 15 years. That would take a while, I think. I don't know if I could do it if I started now. This episode will be so long. James Spader, I was alluding to it earlier. He admitted in many interviews that he did this movie for the money, as he found the script to be awful. I just want to point out, this is a guy who did Jack's Back, and he thought Stargate was awful.
Yeah, well, he's a little moody on certain things, but I'm a big fan,
I'm a huge fan.
I think he's great. Like the way he is on, even Blacklist. He was Ultron, and as much as I wasn't a big fan of the movie, I was a big fan of his portrayal.
Mm-hmm.
And even going back, when you go back to like the really early, like when he was the smarmy 80s guy, he was always one of the more interesting of that. Would you call him part of the Brat Pack? He was that age and everything.
No, I wouldn't call him. He was so either. Outside that.
Yeah. Oh, remember him in Diner?
Yes.
That was awesome. Man, everything. I'm a big fan. I really like the guy.
I think it's funny because he is, in my opinion, the best actor in the movie. He's so quirky and interesting and funny and also charming to a degree. But he obviously didn't even like the movie. And I guess at that time, I mean, everything he did was really smarmy, sexy stuff. So maybe he just needed to bang an alien or something. That's really what was missing. Maybe. I don't know. I'm keeping.
Was this before or after he did that crazy movie Crash?
I think it was like 2 years before Crash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
God,
Crash was 96.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah, this is before that. Actually, I'm looking on IMDb. It's the movie, Crash is the movie he did immediately after Stargate.
To cleanse his palate.
Right. He's like, this wasn't weird and dark enough. I know what I need to do.
That sounds like him, man. And he looks, I just think he's great in the movie. I really do. I think he's great in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The early pre-release screenings of the movie were disastrous. The percentage of the audience who liked the movie fell into the mid-30s, which is really bad. And executive producer Mario Casar realized the main problem was the plot made 0 sense. His solution, have the raw characters' dialogue subtitled and made into information that presented a clear storyline. When those changes were made, the subsequent test screenings produced an overwhelming majority of positive reviews, and this carried the movie into becoming one of the surprise hits of 1994. That was pretty cool. This is
good instincts.
Yeah. This is why producers are important sometimes. My favorite tidbit, James Brown's scream from I Feel Good was used as a sound effect in a scene demonstrating the alien taking control of the young boy's body. Wow.
Interesting.
I didn't catch that. I don't know if you're going to get to this in the trivia, but I swear, speaking of audio cues, when they're traveling through the Stargate the first time, and I don't remember what it was, but I heard 2 or 3 distinct little drop-ins in there too, where I went like, wait a minute, that's from this song, or that's the sound effect from one of them was actually sounded like a Star Wars sound effect.
Like Yukigi or whatever that.
Yeah, one of those things. You know what I think it was the sound of the when the TIE fighters are going into the trench and they go that sound.
Yeah, that could work.
It sounds exactly like it in this, and I wonder if their sound designer was just playing around with stuff.
It could have been. I mean, I obviously wasn't listening for a James Brown cue, so.
No, right. Now I got a question for you two.
Okay.
How many people sang the Doctor Who theme when they went into the Stargate? Because I could not resist throwing it out there.
Well, I can say that it came to mind, but since Aaron never watches Doctor Who.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, now we've got Babylon 5, Stargate. We've got 75 years of Stargate. There's 50 years of Doctor Who. Actually, more than that.
I've watched Doctor Who, though. I've seen a couple episodes. I like it. It just
doesn't count.
Yeah.
You get on it. I want to do Remake This Doctor Right, and we'll do that. But you've got to watch the entire series first. So
it's becoming painfully obvious. I should just let you guys talk, and I should be quiet. That's what I get out of that.
I just think you have like 25 years worth of TV you need to watch now. So
yeah, what's this whole life thing you've had, Aaron?
I don't know. It's insane. I should stop and watch TV all day. All right. Well, let's talk about the original. I know we've talked about it a little bit in terms of trivia, but what makes the movie so notable for you guys? You're big fans, Angela. Why do you like this movie so much? What works?
Okay, so the things that I enjoyed the most, interestingly enough, I really enjoyed the score of the musical score.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He also did it was David Arnold was the composer. He also did Independence Day, which obviously, another Roland Emmerich film.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little known movie. Not too many people have probably seen Independence Day.
Mm-mm.
And I just really enjoyed the score. It definitely played really well with the dramatic elements, and it had to be like good for futuristic elements, but also, this is an Egyptian timeline or planet, set in an Egyptian era, whatever. So it was really cool. I did like the Egyptian alien lore that Roland Emmerich created, the storyline again, that an alien actually affected Earth civilization. I thought that was really cool. And I also really liked Spader and Russell. To your point, Spader definitely was the stronger person as far as the cast goes. I thought he was brilliant. He was exactly what you would think a linguistic Egyptologist would be. He's quirky, weird, smarmy a little bit because he plays smarmy pretty well. But he was also, the anti-hero type character. You wouldn't have expected him to be the hero in this film. And the last thing that I loved was the transforming helmets. That was the coolest thing ever when the aliens, or who we think are aliens, when they finally, we realize it's just humans underneath the helmets. That is so cool. So that's the things that I enjoyed the most.
Rob?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you in a lot of ways. First of all, the music was great. And I'm always a big fan of when a soundtrack is distinct. For example, the Spider-Man films, I didn't think the soundtrack was distinct enough. I can't go off and sing the music from that off the top of my head. This, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm hearing the theme over and over. And as soon as I heard it start, I was like, oh yeah, Stargate. So really, really excellent. And I want to point out that David Arnold also, he's done a ton of stuff, but he also did the music from the TV series Sherlock, which is excellent music. I don't know if you guys are fans.
Definitely.
Aaron, I know you're going to have to watch.
No, I watch Sherlock.
But
I do watch Sherlock.
Good.
Whew, thank goodness. I got one.
That's one. But the music in that is excellent, and that was a standout for me. I think that for me overall, there's a couple of things that really make me love this. Number one, I'm a sci-fi guy. I like that type of story. I like the idea of aliens and off-planet. This was a fun, unique take. It was playing with a lot of stuff that if you follow the conspiracy stuff and the paranormal stuff that's out there. And even at that time, I used to read Conspiracy Reader. It follows these really fringe ideas that were already out there in the paranormal community. But I'm talking really fringe. So it was, to me, really exciting to see this idea of there's this Stargate. It's how we're traveling between these places, but only the military is clued in on it. It was, to me, that was just really intriguing. Spader's acting was a high point for me. I always look for the acting. Russell's and I love Kurt Russell. His acting was not a high point for me in this, even though I love him. But Spader was just very. He could have been Revenge of the Nerds in this, and he didn't play it that way at all. I believed he was smart. I believed he could do what he was doing. So I don't believe he wouldn't have taken the concubine that was sent to him, though, because he is James Spader. I don't know. To me, it was the whole thing, and I really enjoyed the concept, the overall concept of the Stargate and of traveling worlds. I think it opens itself up to really big ideas, which we will get to in the remake portion of this.
Yeah, I agree with just about everything you guys said. I think that the concept is really cool. It's novel. It's interesting. And, we've always said, where do we come from? And the idea that we kind of spawned from this in one way was intriguing. I mean, basically these guys go up against a god, and that was pretty phenomenal. And they also tied in an alien that tied into the lore, and I really appreciated that. James Spader, already talked about him, and I can't love the guy enough. He's just one of those guys that pops up, does weird things, and people love him. But he normally doesn't do big movies like this. So it still stands out to me that I can't believe James Spader is in a Roland Emmerich movie. I just can't.
Right.
And
I can believe Kurt Russell is.
Yeah, he belongs here, but James Spader is just, what are you doing here? And he nails it. He's great. I wish he would have done more of these kind of movies. Kurt Russell, I agree with you. Kurt Russell's one of the main reasons I went to see the movie. He wasn't one of the things I loved about the movie. I like that he was playing against type, that he tries to have zero Kurtisma, as I like to call it.
Kurtisma. Well done, Aaron.
Thanks. Worked all week on that one. He tries to tone that down. And I think the only scene you really get Kurt Russell in this entire movie is when he's with the kid and he does the smoking thing. And, the kid, he mimics smoking to the kid and makes the kid take a drag and, chokes or whatever. That's a total Kurt Russell moment. And then the very, very end where he actually gives a smile to James Spader's character and then, walks away. That's the only times I really felt Kurt Russell was in the movie. The rest of the time, anybody could have played it. And that was kind of a downer for me because Kurt Russell is a guy that I automatically gravitate towards. He has his own presence in most movies, and he usually is the guy that brings the joy. So, he's just a guy you smile when you see on screen, and here he was kind of laid back, I guess. He wasn't bad by any means. He just was laid back. So,
yeah.
What doesn't work?
Very one-dimensional.
Yes, that's the way to look at it. Very one-dimensional. Yeah. What doesn't work for you guys? Rob, what doesn't work for you?
Well, a few things. One is the special effects are awfully dated. Not the ships and all that. I was okay with all that. It's when they do the lightning and the glowing eyes where I'm like, yeah, this is taking me out of it at this point, which normally doesn't. If you saw the garbage I enjoy, you would realize I don't get taken out very easily. But this, for some reason, by the end of this watching, because I just watched it again last night, I was starting to actually drift away because I was getting disinterested at that point. And I don't know if it was the special effects that were doing it. Something took me out. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else. There are storytelling elements that are going on here that I think needed a little extra care to develop. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, as I was watching this, you start noticing certain things that stick out to you. And even when I saw it the first time, little things that bothered me that I thought, I don't know what this was and why. And I think it was just like convenience that it was put in there. I'll see if I can come up with a good example. Oh, wait, before I do that, as much as I loved those helmets, mm-hmm. I agree with you, Angela. Those helmets were sweet. Yeah. I was taken out because of the size of them, like the way they moved. And I thought, is the person moving their head inside to make it move like that? And wouldn't it be easier for them to just have a helmet that they could move? That was taking me out. But I loved those things. I thought they were really cool. That's the kind of thing you want an action figure of. No, what was taking me out was, I know what it was. I know the one that really got me.
Okay.
When they were talking about Ra seeding the planet, okay? Mm-hmm. And they were doing essentially what Prometheus was attempting to do as well, right? Mm-hmm. And this is obviously way before Prometheus. There were a couple of things that were not ringing true for me. One is the alien traveled to Earth and said that I found this species that I could inhabit and it was easily, rejuvenated and blah, 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 blah. Okay? Mm-hmm. How did it plant? I mean, maybe it planted civilization in that it planted the culture, but I thought it was implying that this was the creature that started life on Earth. Maybe I got that wrong, but it really kind of took me out of it. And that's the kind of stuff that was bothering me with this, where I'm like, they could clean that up a little bit. They could really go a little bit deeper. And we could also, I mean, you're talking in a remake, we could make it, I hate to use the word darker, but give it a tone. This felt very much like I was watching a Disney version of sci-fi. And I would like to see a little darker, more grounded version. Hello, Minnie. You know what? It did. I don't know about you guys, but like even some of the music cues, as much as I like the music, there were certain times it was like, bum, ba-da, bum, 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 and I'm going, what is that?
Oh, that's funny.
When did it turn into, Escape from Witch Mountain? But it did.
Well, Jay Davidson could easily segue into a Disney princess. So, I mean, Yeah, I can see that happening. That's a pretty good point, actually. That's a good point.
He can play the prince and princess.
He could, and you don't know until the very end, and then it's like, what?
Oh, boy, what a twist that would be.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast, but you find out they're gender swapped, but you don't actually find it out till the end. I'm not remaking that movie. That sounds terrible.
I like it. I think that's a modern day version. What about you, Angela? What doesn't work for you?
It's pretty similar. Special effects. For me, the special effects when they're actually traveling through the gate, if you think about how cool they could look now, especially just after seeing Doctor Strange, all the different awesome special effects they're able to do now, that definitely could look a lot better. It was pretty cheesy. And then the special effects at the very end when they send the bomb up into the spaceship and the actual explosion and an alien's like flash of the actual real alien's face, super, super cheesy.
Cheesy.
Yeah, that definitely could look so much better in today's cinema. But I don't look back at it thinking it looked cheesy then. So I guess it's kind of dated, but those are the only things that, to be honest, like that kind of took me out of the story. Everything else kind of held up. I guess I didn't look too deep into the lore as much. I didn't take it that Ra was supposed to have created humans. I just think like he took people from Earth and put them on different planets. That's kind of how
he created.
He said I started civilization on Earth.
Yeah,
and that's why I didn't know if he meant the culture or if I thought the implication was that he started life, but you came here and used the human vessel, so life was already here.
Right. Yeah, I took it as the culture. That's what I took it as, not actual life. My biggest problem with the movie is the ending. I hate the ending. I always have. I hated it at the time, hate it now. It's just for a movie that I thought was trying to have bigger and better ideas, it's such a Hollywood ending. How do we defeat this godlike presence? We just beam up a bomb. That's it. It was just...
Yeah, it was really easy. Yeah, it was really easy.
I mean, if you really watched them, and I watched it twice before we did this, just because I wanted to have a good feel. And that ending basically occurs to two characters within a 35-second window. So they decide how to defeat Ra, the god, in 30 seconds or so. And it's just, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's fun, but it's ridiculous. It's hard for me to, and I'm sure that's probably the part Spader was like, wait, what?
Yeah, right. You don't have an actual ending written, so let's just blow things up.
Yeah, which is, we've come to find out that's Roland Emmerich's way. So I get it, but I mean, go watch Independence Day. That ending doesn't make sense either, and it's still fun to watch. That is the big one. I do think the concept is great. Story's kind of tight, or not tight enough. I'm sorry.
Not tight enough. No, I get it.
So I think that probably needed some work done. But outside of that, my buddy Kevin always yells at me when we do these podcasts because I say the effects are dated. Well, that's how they were great. They were great at the time. Absolutely. Stargate, the effects at the time, that was pretty cool. The helmets were really cool. Everything was really cool. Nowadays, it just doesn't hold up, and that's the question we're asking. So it just doesn't hold up. There's a few things that I think, mostly the journey through the Stargate doesn't look good now.
Nope.
Yeah, that doesn't.
It looks like Doctor Who.
It does. It looks like Doctor Who.
Not like Doctor Who now, where it looks really good.
Exactly. So funny. Oh boy, but it is what it is. So, should this movie even be remade, or should it be placed in don't touch status? Angela, what do you think?
I say remake. I think that there's tons of potential. Like you both said, the plot itself for the concept is awesome. There's so much potential there. The story it waned a little bit in the end, but there's definitely potential. They set up like really good kind of like a mythology and everything about it. Mm-hmm. And with special effects the way they are today, it could just, blow our mind where they could go with this. So I say yes, remake.
Rob?
Totally agree. This is not an untouchable film. Not by any stretch. It should be remade, in my opinion. I think that some of the things that we've already started talking about are going to be keys to doing it successfully. and we will. I'm really anxious to hear what you guys think about remaking, because I think that we could really do something here. And I think, Hollywood's big thing now is universe building, and this is prime.
Mm-hmm.
This is prime for that. Will we get that? Only time will tell. But this should absolutely be remade. Let's go.
I like it. All right. Well, I totally agree. I think it's prime to be remade. I actually would, I'm on board redoing the whole concept, or just, however you would do it. I'm actually fine just about any way. I think this is a great idea that could work great today, so I'm fine with it. Let's get into our remake, but first let's hear another clip from the original Stargate.
You sure you want to do this?
Yes, I'm sure.
You gonna be all right?
I'm going to be all right. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Tell Catherine this brought me luck.
I will. I'll be seeing you around. Dr. Jackson?
All right, so here's what we know about the intended remake currently in the works. This scares the crap out of me. Roland Emmerich is teaming up with longtime writing partner Dean Devlin again for a reboot of his own Stargate. So they're basically going to be involved. Now, why does that scare me? Because I saw Independence Day Resurgence. That's why.
I was just going to say, could it be a resurrection that caused a little fear?
Yeah, that makes me scared of this idea.
It's so sad. So sad.
Yeah. Nicholas Wright and James A. Woods are on the project as writers, and the plan is to do this as a trilogy and just completely start over. And I want to give a shout out to Jeff Gentry, a listener who let us know about how Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich are now not so sure that this is going to go forward, because apparently there's some issue with it going forward. I think some of that might have to do with how Independence Day 2 was received, but we don't know. But we're just going to go forward until we hear a final "it's dead." We'll go forward with this as it is possibly still in the works. Man, guys, I love your previous stuff, but you have not been hitting the cylinders the last few movies. I don't know.
Well, and you know why they're doing a trilogy, right? Have you read the interviews with these guys?
No, please elaborate.
They wanted to do a trilogy originally, and the studio basically sold their soul to get the movie made, and the studio owned it, and that's why they weren't involved with the TV series or any of that. So now they're going back and saying, okay, now we can make that trilogy we wanted to make. The problem is they have to reboot in order to make that trilogy. So they've got to tell us the same story we've already seen to do a trilogy of a story that may not be that strong. I think they're going back to the well and using old ideas, and that actually scares me. And I think that's what happened with Independence Day. They tried to do the same thing there, and they say, "Oh, well, this is 20 years later." That's not what the original plan was, but they did go back to that well for the same ideas.
Just scares the crap out of me. Seriously, that was one of my biggest, my most anticipated movies of the year, and I went and saw it, and I left just sad. I mean, I felt like my childhood had been. I felt like I'd been Lucased. Is what I felt like. Oh, I said it. I've been waiting all summer to say it. All right. So
Charisma, Lucas, it's all coming out here.
I've been working on these all week, I tell you. So since this movie's getting a remake, and we as fans always think we know the best way to do it, how should Hollywood remake it? And just to clarify, if you've never listened to our podcast, we're basically creating one movie. We're all three. It's just like you guys fans, when you're talking about what would be the best way to do a remake, we're trying to come up with one movie, and all debates are settled by a best of three vote. Each host does get one cut per episode. They can use it anytime they're extremely passionate about an idea and the other two don't agree. So all they have to do is yell cut, and we have to use their idea, but you only get to use it once, so I would tread lightly with it. Everybody understand these rules?
Got it.
Angela?
Yes.
Okay.
Angela was making sure that everyone had their thing.
I was just listening and making sure I agreed to the terms and conditions before I responded.
Yes, excellent. So you're the one that reads the entire thing before you say yes.
Yeah.
Terms and conditions, yes.
All right. Well, who wants to start it off? How do we modernize this? Who has the first idea? Who wants to go first? Oh, no takers, huh? You guys are scared? Is that that's what I'm hearing? That's what I'm hearing?
I'll take it.
All right.
I'll take it. So you want me to talk about my new plot?
Yeah. How would you remake Stargate? And then we'll hear everybody, and we'll see what direction we want to go.
Okay. So bear with me because my plot's kind of long. So what I've decided is, because originally, from what I remember reading a little bit too about what Roland Emmerich kind of wanted to do, he originally was going to pick it up with Kurt Russell and James Spader still being in the next few movies, the next sequels or whatever. So I kind of wanted to stay with that. I don't want to reboot completely and wash away the first movie. I do want to just obviously kind of go forward into the future because both of our actors are older. Plus it's able to, bring it more into a modern era, at least on planet Earth, it'll be more modern. So I'm thinking it's like 20-ish years later. Spader, obviously, in the end of the movie, he stayed on the Egyptian planet. And so my thought is like him and his concubine wife had, children or whatever. And he has a son on the planet, on the Egyptian planet, and his son has grown up, and Spader's kind of taught him everything he knows about, the hieroglyphics and things related to the Stargate. Then meantime, on planet Earth, I kind of thought that Kurt Russell's character, he was still in charge of the Stargate and kind of what the planet Earth had decided, or the American government, because I guess they don't make it like a global thing at this point. It's just the U.S. government's controlling it. Kurt Russell, they've decided because of the dangers that could have happened, I mean, Earth could have potentially been blown up, that they are going to not use the Stargate. It's kind of more of just, we're going to keep it, we're going to protect it, but we don't want to destroy it in case we need it, but we're not going to go messing around and seeing what's out there. So that's kind of like what's going on in the background. So in the meantime, on the Egyptian planet, there is, they get invaded. And what you come to find out is they get invaded by another planet that's, has a Stargate on their planet. And because I kind of like the idea of, again, the alien Ra, I just pictured him going throughout our history on Earth and taking people from different periods of our history and populating them on planets. So I was kind of spinning it for this being the people that come to invade the Egyptian planet are people from like ancient Greece era. So that was kind of my idea, that they were being led by a character who kind of is the Ares, the god of war from the planet. So they're using the Stargate to go out and conquer other planets. So they try to invade the planet. There's a fight between the Egyptians, and they are able to push the Greek planet people back through the Stargate. And in the meantime, Spader's character does get injured. I don't want him to die though, because that's sad, but he gets injured. So his son, the character of Son, has to go through the Stargate to Earth to try to get help to protect the planet and let them know what's going on. And so he goes through, and Kurt Russell obviously is in charge of the group that's overseeing the Stargate here. So Kurt Russell, America doesn't want to really step in. We don't want to go out there and risk our lives or our planet. So he basically kind of comes up with like a ragtag group of people, a small group of people, of soldiers that he's willing to send through the gate to try to help defeat this enemy. So he sends a small group through. And then my other idea was like that we're worried, we don't want to affect civilizations that are on these other planets. So when the group goes through, they're not really able to take technology with them, or very limited technology, because we don't want them to fall into these, other planets and affect the way that they're going to evolve. So I'm thinking like they're going to go with this just ragtag group. And then the kind of last part of my plot without giving away like what my ending is like that they don't necessarily know which planet the bad people are from. So along the journey, they might be going to different planets along the way, and seeing that the Greek planet has already come and kind of conquered or decimated some of the planets. And so they start to build a group of people from different planets as their group to go ultimately to the bad people's planet and fight them there. And that's my spin on it.
What's your ending? Why do you want to hold on to that? Is it magical?
Oh, am I supposed to give the ending away?
Well, if it's your pitch, if you want to sell.
Okay, yeah. So like my ending, nothing super crazy. It's just that they go there, and what ultimately happens is, because the other planets, because I kind of wanted to play on the idea that he picked people from different eras. So like maybe he visits like a planet that's kind of like was based on like the Mayans. Maybe there's a planet that was kind of based along like ancient China that time. So by collecting people from these different planets, when they get to the bad guys' planet, they are able to work together and like bring strengths. Like, you know, maybe the Mayans are better at like planning warfare, and maybe like the ancient Chinese era planet, you know, they're obviously fighters, and you know, the Americans bring something, and the other people that are along the way, and they come up with a plan to defeat the Ares, the god of war, or whatever he's pretending to be on that planet. And after defeating them, this is my idea for spinoffs. Like they then decide to create a global initiative, like so a global group of people who are out there to protect and to like monitor the Stargate. So instead of us like being like, we're never going to use the Stargate technology, we actually build a group of people from the different planets to kind of protect and govern.
That's kind of cool. I like how that.
Yeah, not govern. I shouldn't say govern, but just, you know, protect and travel.
All right. Well, that's Angela's. Rob, what's your take?
You know, mine is a little different because I really gave this a lot of thought. I do not like the idea of it being 20 years later. I do like that in some instances. This one, I prefer more of a straight up remake. Lots of changes to that remake, but I think that we need a new starting point with new actors and some new concepts behind it. Basically, a few things I want to change. One is I want to change the tone of it, like I said, make it darker. And when I say darker, I don't mean like, you know, Zack Snyder's fake darkness. I mean, actually, like make it so there's conspiracy behind it. Make it like the promise that X-Files gave us originally, but actually cash in on it, not give us the mess that we ended up with. It would be really interesting to have some different characters. First of all, here we'll go with this. We've got the soldiers that go through the Stargate. So I like the whole idea. I like the setup. There's a Stargate. They find this thing. They don't know what it is. They bring in this scientist who is a linguist, which is different than everything else that's going at this. And he's the one that looks at it and figures it all out. I like that idea a lot. And I liked the little girl at the beginning. I think that was a missed opportunity. I think that she needs to be more of an integral part of the story going forward. I think that they go through the Stargate. They find essentially the same kind of thing. Wow, this looks like the Egyptians. This is ancient aliens, you know. Giorgio Tsoukalos is right. That's the guy with the wild hair from Ancient Aliens. You know, so they go with that whole thing. They encounter some creatures that look less like Muppets. Would be good. They've got the soldiers. Now the soldiers, though, in this, it was rah rah America. I prefer if when they put this together, it's a team almost like shadow government. We find out there's like this shadow government. They're working. They've dealt with aliens and that before, but they've never seen anything like this Stargate before, and they can't figure out how to crack this code. And maybe not working like, hey, the aliens are helping us with this, but more like they're aware and there is this, you know, relationship. So we find out the universe right up front is a lot bigger, and that this Stargate itself, for some reason, is something to be feared. But our group, our elite team, is going to go through this Stargate and try to solve it. We bring in the scientists, same thing happens, goes to the other planet. We see that it's, Egypt, essentially. I like the idea of the slaves. This felt a little too 80s version of that. I want to see it have more grit to it. Almost like, this is going to sound terrible, but like Amistad, where it was like, wow, these are slaves. This is real, and this is scary. And when these people show up, they're frightened of them. And there's this oppression. When they encounter Ra, I want it to go even further. I want to use somebody that really is gender bent, where you go, I really don't know, because in this, watching it this last time, I really felt that Ra was a male. Mm-hmm. And I like the idea of maybe this alien took Earth, human DNA, and has bastardized it so much that you really can't tell what it is. I like that idea of making it completely androgynous, where you just really can't tell. And it's really like control hungry and power hungry. It's got this group here, but the Stargate back to Earth was broken, and it hasn't figured out how to get back through that gate. When we open the gate, it has the portal. It can come back. So we go through, but we're not going to spend the whole time on that planet. It's going to send things back through. So now we've got more, the stakes are higher. I like the stakes, because right now the stakes in this movie, the stakes are, yes, if Ra gets through, it'll take over Earth, but really it's 6 people that are in danger. Mm-hmm. I want to make it big. I want everybody to be in danger, and I want to feel that. I want to have Ra to have a second in command, not just the guys with the cool helmets, but have like a second in command that we fully believe is the bad guy. And I think this is where you use somebody that, speaking of today's climate, you make it somebody who looks very Egyptian, somebody that to the American psyche immediately gives, and I'm not saying everybody, but there is a tension to it right now. But I want that character at the end to reveal that they're actually a hero to this thing. They actually have they're another alien race that have positioned themselves close enough to Ra to actually help. And I think that would be a really interesting take on that. I also think that you want to have the old lady at the beginning. She actually is almost the opposite. She's trying to help Ra get through. I want when she's finally revealed at the end, that third act, we find out that she's actually trying to bring Ra here. I think that would be an interesting take on that. Oh, okay. I want to mix a lot of the races in that, so that it's not so. This was very whitewashed. I don't want that. I don't want it to all be men. I think that if you had this elite group, they don't care if it's white, if it's man, if it's American. They care, are these the best in these positions? And I think you're going to get a much stronger grouping that way. And that you can also flesh out those soldiers. Now, when this thing ends, you have the opportunity going to other planets. It opens up a universe. It's kind of like, oh boy, I can't think of the name. I wish Scott was on here. He'd know the name of it. There's a video game where they had a great ad where it had all these different stars, and the characters are standing and they're looking up at the stars, and each one of them, there's a little thing that says, help us, help us, help us, help us, help us. And you're like, oh, these guys have 1 million civilizations to help. I like that idea. It's kind of like in Avatar. Avatar, these sequels to Avatar, I want nothing to do with, because they're going back to the same well. Mm-hmm. They're all going to be the big blues. Why? Let's see what else is out there. And don't make the planet singular. Speaking of George Lucas, you go to Hoth, everything's ice. You go to Dagobah, everything's a swamp. No, I want to see what these different environments are like, and I want to know that these environments have different environments within them, much like Earth. So how does it end? I think that they do defeat Ra, but we find out Ra is just one of these creatures that is traveling with these Stargates. And now that the Stargate to Earth is open, it puts us in a global a universal community, and we've got a problem, because we don't know who's coming through and who's going, and you've got a lot more story that you can work with there. The other thing that I would want to do going forward is establish smaller story. Not everything has to be this giant blowout of universal explosion. when we get to the director that I want to use, I think you see we could tell a smaller story within this universe, but here, by doing this movie this way, you've risen the stakes to a point that you can tell those other stories. You've built a science fiction universe that we can all buy into.
All right, so Angela's is more of a continuation. You want to create a whole new world.
Whole new world.
Oh, and there's a Disney reference in there somewhere.
Yes.
Mine is a little bit different. It's basically what I envisioned was back in Egyptian times, aliens did come here, not Ra, but aliens came here to basically connect the universe, the known universe. So they dropped stargates on various planets. So ours is one, and they used hieroglyphics so that humans could, once you figure it out, could unlock it. Once they were intelligent enough to decipher the hieroglyphics, they could unlock this technology that would be a portal to other worlds. And they were also setting up these portals on these various worlds. So it's not just a Stargate to this one Egyptian planet. It's going to be a star. And keep in mind, I didn't watch the show, so I know that there's a whole bunch of other Stargates out there. I don't even know what their plots were. I couldn't tell you. But mine is that the aliens themselves, well-intentioned, good vibe sending aliens. They just want to connect the universe. And the portals were an easy way to allow travel between planets. That's really all they set it up for. So flash forward, modern day. See, I would completely take Ra out of it, honestly. So flash forward, modern day, I agree. A linguist comes in. I don't think it needs to be the military. I'm kind of burned out on the military saves everybody all the time. I think it's just a matter of we have some archaeologists that have been working with this thing that they don't understand. They bring in a linguist. It's a team. It doesn't have to be a military team, just a team, maybe with a military member that can go with them. So you have someone with experience and that sort of thing. But you basically have a team of intelligent scientists that determine how to unlock the Stargate. And so they unlock it and they go forward to do an expedition. What I'm doing is exposition. And they go through the portal, and it takes them to a planet where you see a civilization that is being oppressed. And they try to understand how they can help, because they do understand modern technology. And these people have never advanced to where they can go forward. The people that are oppressing them have actually used the Stargate and come from another planet. So they're a far more advanced planet that unlocked our Stargate long before us. And they use that portal to come and basically enslave a lesser people, which is what they've done. So our movie would basically be this group of scientists and maybe one person with a military mind, but the rest being intelligent scientist minds, have to formulate a plan to remove the people in power at the other Stargate, the more advanced technology of the Stargate, or to shut their Stargate down. And then once that would conclude at the end of their movie, once we fight the villain of that civilization and basically destroy their Stargate, not their world. I thought it's too easy to do that. I think it's one of those things where you can't just beam up a nuclear bomb every time you want to end a civilization. We have to destroy the Stargate on their end and make it so they can't use it anymore. So they're just left at their own devices. And that might mean that certain minerals they need to survive, they can't get to anymore. So they might have to find other ways or something like that. So we shut it down. At the very end, we shut it down. Those people are freed. And then our team basically uses the Stargate to find other civilizations and help them in various ways. Now, where that goes, that is what the future films would be for, to try different ways. Because I think the Ra thing, it was a cool concept. I don't know if it's going to play again. And I would rather just go something along that direction, where aliens did this with good intentions and the people screwed it up, because that's what people do. They take advantage of the power and they take advantage of the underprivileged, and you have the whole societal commentary in that respect if you want. But I also really want the military kind of removed, just because I'm kind of tired of the military always being the answer. Let's have our team be a group of scientists, smart, intelligent people who have to fight back and help these oppressed, as opposed to the guys with the guns and they go in and they bomb everything and never save the day. That's what my idea was. So
I like it.
Thanks. Thank you. I liked everybody.
I do.
I think everybody.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. But now we have to decide one direction to go. So whose direction do we want to go? Or what do you guys think? Did anybody come around to anybody else's idea, I should say? Mm-hmm.
I
like
actually
different
like
elements.
a mix of yours and mine, actually. I think that a lot of what you're saying makes sense. It's going in the direction of what I was looking at. But I like some of the things, like I like the idea of a team of scientists, although I think there does need to be a military element. I think that the military coming in and saving the day is a bad choice. But maybe we have two teams racing to deal with this, one to stop them intellectually, and one that we know, maybe there's another group that is getting sent through that just wants to blow the hell out of everything. And we've got to solve this problem before they have a chance to do it. So making what is essentially good guys into bad guys because we're trying to stop them from causing more damage. Little society conflict there too.
And you could do those that work in Angela's ending as well. So by the end, it's a coalition.
And I like Angela's ending. Right, right.
Yeah. How would that work as a whole? Because I think Angela, I'm not on board with just because I don't want a continuation. I like the idea that you had. I just don't like a continuation. But the ending I loved. So we can have a combination of everybody's, and really everybody wins. Who go team? And but I'm trying to figure out how that would work.
Everybody gets a prize at the end of this, right, Aaron?
Yeah, everybody does. Consolation prize. Everyone gets one. You get a hat, and you get a hat, and you get a hat. So how do we do that? How do we make this one movie? How do we connect all three ideas?
Should we put it on Angela? What do you think, Angela?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, I've got an idea of obviously how to connect the endings, since the endings kind of, if we're kind of going with a little bit like what the outcome of the movie that I pitched. I mean, like you both said, if we're going to these different planets and we're helping, we go to one planet, in this movie, or if we go to multiple and we try to help these oppressed people, eventually we're just starting to build a team. So that's where, you'd start to take some people from different planets and we build that global initiative, that group. Mm-hmm. I also agree. Even with my pitch, I didn't really want it to be all military either. I actually had people cast that weren't just going to be military people. They were going to be scientists and linguistics and things like that. But I do think that you have to have a little bit of some military people, because it seems like something like the military would have control over if there really was a Stargate. It doesn't have to be an American. I was trying not to go that route too. I don't want it to be America had to go save the world, because that's Independence Day. I wanted it to be, more diverse and everything. But yeah, I don't know. How do you guys want to start? Which start point are we going to go from?
Yeah,
they were good aliens in the beginning. They had good intentions.
I like that idea.
I do
and
too.
Then it's corrupted by other aliens getting involved, and that makes it a little more. That makes a little more intrigue. Who's doing what, and who's causing the problem? And is it one bad apple, or is it half the apples are bad?
Well, I obviously like it.
Do you want the other aliens, like the other planets, are they going to all kind of resemble humans, or are they going to look like different species? Because that's where I was kind of torn on. I kind of, because I was going off playing on the idea that Ra kind of populated these planets based on, humans. So I kind of pictured them as, human forms. But do we want to go that route, or are they going to look... are we going crazy sci-fi, like Star Trek style, where they look very different?
I like the sci-fi angle. I like it to go different, but I think a lot of what we see are human in the beginning. Although when we see the other aliens, because we even saw an alien here, I think that's a good instinct.
I think you do. We're somewhere in the middle of the evolutionary chain. And so I think you take the lesser developed planet. First we agreed that the aliens are going to be good intentions, right? So so we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. So we drop So which plot are we going for in terms of what is the basics? I think we got to figure out the basic story before we can nail out the aliens and everything else. What is the basic plot we're going with? What does everybody feel like? Angela, what's your opinion? Or what's your verdict?
I think we kind of should go with like what you had said, like these aliens, they were good intentioned and they wanted to give planets opportunities to connect. But like you said, they put a Stargate, they use like hieroglyphics, which is symbols that aren't, directly, planet Earth's language or a different planet's language. They're just symbols, and they just wait for planets to evolve enough to be able to figure it out. And that's their hope that eventually all these planets will understand and use the technology to start to connect with one another.
Yeah, and they kind of did that when Daniel Jackson figured out what that last symbol was. I did kind of have that feeling of, we have finally gotten to a point that we understand it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good instinct to go with that. Okay.
So once do we agree on the scientist angle or Rob, you really wanted to have some military, actually you both did. So
I think it has to have both. I really do. It could be two competing teams, or it could be, like you said, mainly scientists, but they're escorted by the military. But see, the problem with that is we might fall into that exact same trap. Okay. The military has a secret agenda to blow stuff up. I would rather it be a team that is, we know up front they're there to blow it up, and these scientists are trying to thwart that while still trying to deal with these aliens.
How would you do that without?
I don't know. That's why you have rewrites. Like, you get the idea on paper and you keep working it until you get it.
It's I would say a group of scientists piece it together. They obviously have a consortium of sorts. I mean, they have financial backing, so they take military with them for protection. And then maybe a couple of those guys are panicky or go rogue or don't, because they don't understand. And so they actually cause part of the conflict. But maybe they don't necessarily, it's not they're just blow everything up. They just cause a conflict when we're trying to negotiate with the advanced technology or something from another planet.
What if you make it more international, where you have the scientists, they're going there, they're trying to solve this. It instead of being just scientists, because right now if you say scientists, it's too general. Mm-hmm. What if it's like an Elon Musk or something that has found the Stargate or has bought the Stargate, knowing that it's more than just an artifact, mm-hmm. and has assembled this team of scientists and that are really ultra high end. And we do have our Daniel Jackson that is like the Doogie Howser, walks in, he's young, he looks at it and goes, mm-hmm. he looks at it and goes, I got it, high five. And then the military aspect, because the military, just like with launching a rocket into space right now, private sector can do it, but as soon as you light that fuse, the military is all over it. Mm. What if instead of just the military, what if they make an agreement like, yes, for protection, but there is a conspiratorial element of it? Maybe instead of being, the Russians or whatever, it's more of a New World Order group that this is the time they're going there to figure out, is there a way we can team with the alien instead of blow them up? They're not allowed to take bombs with them. They're not allowed to take the technology, like you said.
Oh, yeah. I like that, Angela, too, by the way. That was a good twist.
Thank you.
Their agenda is to make that deal with the aliens, find out, is anybody of like mind, so we can have a New World Order.
Oh, so the military is actually planning a coup against the scientists. The scientists are planning to actually bring a coalition and help. They want to assist or whatever.
Right.
Be good natured.
The military has a separate agenda, but we just think they're going to be military, hey, we're here to blow it up, but we can't bring our bombs. But then we find out, no, there's actually a much deeper story going on.
I like that. Do you like that, Angela?
I do. I'm on board.
Sweet.
Hey, I'm on board too.
Yay. All right. Well, I think that makes a movie then. And we have the ending where the military would have to be defeated and the other aliens, the higher technology, that gate would be closed. Yes? No? Maybe? A different?
I'm trying to figure out if we close the gate or if we just, kind of defeat the bad guy. Because I'm trying, it's like, to your point, is it just like one bad guy on this planet who's, bad guy or bad girl who's leading this group to, be conquerors or whatever? Or is it just the race in general? Like that's what they do. So therefore you do just kind of have to destroy the gate so that they, they're not able to, they can't partake. We decide that they're not a good group to be a part of this global, initiative that we're trying to go for.
Of the Star Trek universe. But you've got something there, Angela. What if they do destroy the gate, just like you said? That is the purpose. They destroy the gate. But this big bad that we're dealing with, they're not it. And they have communicated out there to the other areas where these Stargates where his race has gone through, or her race, whatever it is, has gone through and is conquering these planets that gate number 463, here are the coordinates. We have it again. So we see the gate destroyed, but in the final moments, we find out 300 other gates now have access to the gate on Earth.
Oh, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Instead of doing the typical, because we built a coalition with, the other planet and we're going forward with that. And we think we've cut off their access. They're gone. We don't have to.
Right. We think it's over.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And instead of having the typical, we go and we end on another planet or something. Instead, we end and they have figured out a way to come to Earth.
Right.
I like that.
And once again, that opens it up that all these Stargates we know are connected. So now we can tell stories on other planets, and they can be as big or as small as we want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on board. I'm sold. I think that makes a whole movie.
Are you writing the check, Aaron? I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like a PayPal thing, and we're going to Kickstarter leads to PayPal. That's how we do this here. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
We've got Meryl Streep on a few of these, so that's the big one. She usually takes most of the coin.
Yeah, she's tough.
She is. All right. Well, I think we got our movie. Wayne Henderson will obviously put it in movie trailer form when we get there. But first, let's talk about a director. Who's going to direct this obvious masterpiece? Angela, what was your pick?
I actually kind of went a little different because I was, originally thinking of it as a continuation or whatever. But the directors / writers that I've been most intrigued with in the last year are the Duffer Brothers. The ones who did Stranger Things on Netflix. I like them because one, that's pretty much all we've really seen from them. So there's so much potential for them. And then two, they're good. I mean, I thought what they did was just wonderful on Stranger Things. So I think it was a little bit of more, I guess I would say, on the horror side, but they definitely touched on sci-fi, with the whole, testing of 11 and everything like that, the conspiracy side of it. So I thought that would be a fresh new approach. I like that. Did you have a suggestion, Rob?
I do. It's funny. One of the names I wrote down was the Duffer Brothers. Nice. For the exact same reasons. And I was thinking they did do sci-fi. They did kind of a horror thing. And that actually might be that darker tone that I'm looking for here, where it has that element to it. I also had thought of the Russo brothers because look at what they've done with those Marvel movies. They know how to universe build, and they can make action and all that stuff. But that's not who I'm recommending. Oh, okay. I am recommending Alfonso Cuarón. Okay. Who made Children of Men, who made Prisoner of Azkaban. I think that he makes really interesting looking movies. I think if you look at, Gravity or even Y Tu Mamá También, he's told a wide cut of stories here that are all visually interesting. They have character development. I think that his hand on this might set us off on the right pace. It's kind of like hiring Christopher Nolan, who is very meticulous, really crafted. But Nolan likes to work on Nolan projects. He's not going to want to work on this. But Alfonso Cuarón has taken other people's work and made really great stuff. So that's who I'm recommending. But I am not opposed to the Duffer Brothers or the Russos. If you say Zack Snyder, I am opposed to that. No. I'm leaving. Actually, the podcast. I didn't even bring a director just because I know I would have went with like J.J. Abrams or something. So I was kind of waiting to see who you guys picked. I think I'm going to lean toward Duffer Brothers just because let's give these kids a chance. I think that sounds like a fantastic world for them, and they've already shown they can build a world of their own. And if you give them, I'll take Duffer Brothers. They were also producers on Wayward Pines, which once again, that's the right tone. So I'm with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we got directors. Is there anybody you guys want to cast?
I have some.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I do too.
Really,
You can go
I
first.
really went all over on these. So for the Jackson type character, now actually now that we've come to getting more scientists, I have more I want to add. I had two guys I was really going back and forth with.
Okay.
One was Evan Peters. I would love to see him in that type of role.
Quicksilver, right? Quicksilver.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you watch him on American Horror Story, the guy's a chameleon and he's an excellent actor. He is another one like a DiCaprio or a Depp that, as long as he doesn't become a caricature of himself, is going to be one of these major like chameleon character actor Oscar winners. And I think
I could see him as like a young protege too, kind of like you said, like because we were thinking like a young Doogie Howser. I could see that.
I have a better one for that character though. If we're making it Daniel Jackson, it's so funny because when we were watching it last night, my wife said, "Well, who would you cast?" You know, I already said Evan Peters. And I had another thought, and she had the same thought. Do you guys know who Jeremy Allen White is?
No.
Sounds familiar, but no.
Yeah, watch the show Shameless.
No? I've seen it. I'm trying to think.
I've seen the British version.
Okay, you're missing out. The American version, Jeremy Allen White plays Lip.
Okay, I know who you're talking about.
This guy can act. And he's got that younger look without looking like a teenager. I could buy this guy being a really smart Doogie Howser, like way smarter than his age would dictate. He's smaller in stature, so you could understand him being, even though he's tough, you put him next to someone like Idris Elba, and you're going to go, wow, this guy is a small statured guy. He's going to be intimidated, but I don't think he'd be as intimidated. I think he would just go with his brain. I think he's a great choice for that Jackson character.
All right.
I also like Idris Elba for Jack O'Neill.
I picked Idris Elba too.
Hey, well, why not? We throw him in everything else. You might as well throw him in this.
I'll put him and John Hamm in every movie ever made. So
I would side with I would side with an Evan Peters. That's for sure. I like.
I think you just don't know Jeremy.
No, I've seen Shameless. I've seen Shameless. I just I don't love I mean, I like him. I don't know if I love him, but I haven't seen like the whole series, obviously. So there might be a difference there. But before anybody commits to anything, Angela, who'd you have?
Well, I was going, again, I was playing on Spader's son, kind of taking over the role of, Jackson. And so I wanted him to be I wanted him to look Egyptian. So I went with Rami Malek from Mr. Robot.
That's a great choice.
He's Egyptian. He's really unique, and he's smart. Like, he plays extremely intelligent really well. So I was kind of going with Rami. And then for, the kind of Kurt Russell-esque character, I did choose, I know it's cliche, but I chose Idris Elba too, because, who doesn't want Idris Elba in their movies?
Yeah. You could
with robots.
Like a Matt Damon. He would work there too. Because I would buy that he is smart enough and knows like he can hide something. And it wouldn't be bad for him to play against type and end up being the government patsy, maybe.
I'd say put them both in. Screw it. We got a budget.
And we also, and we also have a group of scientists. So let's put Evan Peters, let's put Jeremy, let's put them all in there.
That's true. I think in Daniel Jackson, now that I'm going to go with Rami now that she's mentioned it, because I think
Rami's a great choice.
Yeah, I didn't even think of him. Shame on me. Mr. Robot is so good.
Okay, for my older woman, I want to put Pam Grier in. She's the child that was there that saw the Stargate.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Sure, throw Pam Grier. Is she still around?
I love Pam Grier. Yeah, she is.
All right. I haven't seen her in anything in a long time.
I thought of Kate Blanchett, so that's interesting.
She's too young. Too. She's too young, I think, to play.
Well, I don't think she needs to be super old either.
Okay, I got my androgynous character. So if we're getting rid of Ra, I still think I like the idea of something that has used human DNA, but we can't tell.
A leader on the advanced technology. Yes. That would be okay. Who's androgynous?
Ruby Rose.
Who's Ruby Rose?
Oh yeah, she is.
You watch Orange is the New Black? She was on that, and she is perfect for it, where it's like both sexes would go, I'm not sure, and she's attractive to both sexes. And it's like, this is a really, like, this would be a character that you couldn't take your eyes off of, and you would be questioning the whole time, much like the original actor.
Ruby Rose.
Did you have a bad guy, Aaron? Because I was going for, like, for some reason, I kept thinking of Tom Hardy. That was going to be my bad guy.
For some reason, because he's Tom Hardy and he's awesome.
Yeah, he's Tom Hardy. Plus, I was kind of thinking of, like, again, ancient Greece. I thought he could maybe play like an Ares type character. So
I like Rami for Daniel, and I like this Ruby. Now that I'm looking at her, I don't know her acting, but I like her look. She's
good actress.
Very,
I would not recommend unless it was a good actor or actress. No way.
Oh, well, all right then.
That's how I am. I'm a former actor, and I'm real picky about that.
Rob's stamp of approval is what we're calling that one.
I'll cast my other teammates. These are the other people I kind of thought of from the Planet Earth team.
Okay.
So I was kind of thinking, I wanted, because I was thinking that, you know, we were battling kind of like this ancient Greek planet. So we needed somebody who kind of specialized in that type of linguistics and, you know, that culture or whatever. And I kind of wanted a love interest for my Rami character because, you know, who doesn't love a good love story? So I cast. I wanted the British actress Gemma Arterton.
Oh,
yes.
Just throw her in anything. I don't even care where you put her.
I was back and forth because she was in Prince of Persia, which wasn't very great, but I really do enjoy her. And then I was kind of thinking more because I was building it kind of more military style. I was thinking like Sebastian Stan, you know, the one who played Bucky from Captain America.
Rogers.
I thought of Steve Yeun from Walking Dead. I thought he'd be an interesting person to have in the mix of the team.
Oh yeah, he's
Carl Urban. You know, Dread.
He should be in everything.
Mm-hmm. He should be. And I wanted to, just for some sci-fi fun, throw in Katie Sackhoff. So Starbuck from the Battlestar Galactica remakes.
Literally.
So that was my team from Planet Earth.
I think we've got between military and scientists, I think there's plenty of room for everybody. So sure, why not?
I think there is too. All right, I'm gonna throw the two in that go off of what you said, because I remembered. First of all, Sun-Hwa Kwan, I would want to put her on. Mm-hmm. She played Jin on Lost.
Okay.
I thought she was fantastic. But this is the big one. Denai Guerrera, without the dreadlocks. She plays Michonne.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
She would be an excellent character to have on one of these teams. These are the character actors that I want to see. And everyone you mentioned, I want them in there too. Aaron, you're going to be writing a big old check for this one.
That's cool. The only person I really wanted, and I wanted him for Daniel Jackson, but I was kind of sold for on Romney once you threw him in there, was Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell, I'm a huge fan, so you can throw him in there anywhere. He's played.
He can be a scientist. He'd be great.
There you go. He's been Scream Queens. Everybody wants some. He's a young actor, but he's really entertaining. So I just want him. He's just weird, and I like weird.
I do too. He'd be a really good one. He could actually go either way, either the military or the scientist. I kind of like him for the scientist role, but yeah, I think everyone we've named has to be hired.
Absolutely. Bam. We're done. All right. What about nostalgic moments? Is there anything you guys you definitely want to pay a nod to the original in this film? Angela, did you have anything?
I still would like a nod. Like, I mean, we've said it multiple times, but I still like the idea of some type of transforming helmet. I like the idea of an alien race that kind of rules their people through pretend, you know, that they're these powerful godlike figures. So it might not necessarily have to be like an Egyptian huge helmet or whatever type mask, but I kind of want that technology still in there because I thought that was one of the coolest elements that came out of Stargate.
I agree. That they could come there from the advanced planet with a larger than life presence like that. So yeah,
I agree. That is I think it's a must actually for this.
Absolutely. What about you, Rob? Any other nostalgic moments?
Yeah, I got two that I think should be here. Actually, I have two and then a potential. I think we have to
three.
have, if we're doing it the way we were talking about, we have to have that beginning in like Egypt or someplace where they dig up a Stargate. I think that whole scene with, you know, going back to 1929, they're digging this up. I think that adds a really interesting element to it that I think needs to be there.
Okay.
I want, again, I know we've seen it, I want to see him turn on that Stargate. I want that water effect again.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jackson character, us as the audience going through with him. I loved that moment when he stopped and he put his hands on it and all that. I think that kind of stuff needs to be there.
Okay.
Because if they're just rolling through, it's not Stargate. Then it's just anything.
Okay.
And then my honorable mention, and this does not have this is something that does not have to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
When the big pyramid ship landed on top of the smaller pyramid, I think that kind of presence needs to be here, where we think, wow, this is big, and we realize there's something bigger in the universe. So a moment like that, where we see something bigger envelop the story we're already seeing, I think that's important.
I don't know how you do that with our story, though.
I don't know either, but we got time. We'll figure it out. Once we got all these people signed, we're going to have time to figure this out.
Oh, well, that's true. You don't have to do it all today.
We got the money. Unlimited budget.
Unlimited.
My nostalgic moment is I want, as we near the end and they're trying to decide how to kill the Stargate on the other side, the advanced technology side, I want one of the military presidents to bring out a bomb very, very similar to the one Kurt Russell uses. And I want the scientists to say, no, we're not doing that.
Just
yes. Just for the, like,
abandon that plan.
Yep. That plan is no, we're going to come up with a better solution to destroy it. We're not going to kill innocent people to do so. No.
Mm-hmm.
How about if, another thing that would happen is that he's setting up the bomb, and when he goes to hit the thing, this is a different environment. The electromagnetic field in the environment just shuts it off or it negates it. So it's like, it's completely useless. And he finds that out immediately when he gets there, like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
I'm fine. As long as it just doesn't happen. That's really my big thing.
It should have the bomb there.
Like, we gotta do this. Oh, crap. We're going to have to think.
Oh, crap. Nobody accounted for the fact that we're underwater.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, I think we got a movie, even though we went all over the place. We've hired just about everybody in Hollywood. But it's going to be a couple big teams of scientists and military presence. But it's
we're building a universe.
That's true. We have a world of universe. And some of these people are just going to have to die. Real stakes. Yes. That's what I think. Real stakes.
Yep.
With that, I think it is time to hear Wayne Henderson tell us what our movie is. What is this new Stargate? Take it away, Wayne.
In mankind's history, one question has continued to plague us all. Are we alone in the universe? Scientists from around the globe have amassed to investigate an ancient relic that is believed to somehow hold a key to life's mysteries. And linguist Daniel Jackson has just opened the door. A portal, really, left to us from an advanced species designed to bridge the gaps of the known universe. This team of minds pairs up with a small militia to pass through this door to heaven and see exactly what lies on the other side. An oppressed people ruled by another civilization who has exploited their own gateway into this world. Can our team stop them from enslaving this peaceful world? Or will our own military force our hand into a war we had no intention of fighting? Things have never been stranger as the Duffer Brothers take you on a journey through a galaxy with infinite possibilities. Stargate.
Hey,
great job.
Good job,
awesome.
Wayne. Good job. I can't wait for
and
my
you're
new
welcome, America.
World. It's united.
World. That's true.
Universe. Come on.
You're welcome, universe.
I also want to mention Wayne, MediaVoiceovers.com. I didn't say at the beginning. Wayne, MediaVoiceovers.com. You can find him. Please hire him if you're looking for a voice actor. He's great. Well, I think that does it, guys. We had a great show. Rob, where can people find you? I should ask you.
Boy, well, I'm on a number of different shows in a number of different places. Let's go with a couple of obvious ones. You can go to our website, which is SouthgateMediaGroup.com, where we have 90-some different podcasts to choose from. And you can find us on iTunes and Stitcher and like everywhere. We have a YouTube channel, too. Just look up Southgate Media Group. I'm on so many different things. Check out the Nuff Said podcast. That is our Marvel /Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. /comic book podcast.
Mhm.
It's a lot of fun. I do a show about media, about new media called New Media Lab. And that is, we do a lot of like social media talk and not just podcasting, but blogging and video and all that. Check that out too. I would love it if you found that and found it helpful. So I think that does it. This Week in Geek too.
Yeah.
This was almost like an episode of it. That's the show where we've actually played Remake This Movie Right.
Really?
Yes, on This Week in Geek. Yeah, we love it.
Awesome. I'm so glad I'm glad you came by then. Do you guys really have 90 podcasts, or is that just an exaggeration?
No, we really do.
Holy crap. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's like that's what a real network is.
Now, it doesn't mean that they're all constant. Like when shows go on hiatus, when TV shows go on hiatus, those shows are dormant. But at any given time, we may have 30 or 40 shows going on weekly.
Wow.
And that's shows, not episodes. Some of these things, like Nuff Said, has 4 to 5 original shows per week.
Wow. That's fantastic. Congratulations. That's really cool.
It's a lot.
Angela, where can people find you? Anywhere?
You can find me in the Hollywood Outsider group, posting along with my fellow hosts.
There you go. That counts. And don't miss her Charlie's Angels episode. That was really, really fun. If you haven't listened to that one, I thought that was really fun. All right, guys. And also, this is, you can find me talking about movies and TV at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Also, this podcast here, RemakeThisMovieRight.com. We've only, I think, got one more episode left this year, and the season's going to be wrapping up till next year. So keep an eye out for that one. And you can find us on Twitter at Remake Right. And on social media, we do have a Facebook group. You can join us there. Also, please share the show on Reddit or wherever else you partake of social media stuff. Okay, I think that does it for this show. The credits have rolled on this particular remake, but please be sure to come back for our next one. And remember that every film you love will get a reboot someday, and only you can remake that movie right.